You've seen Fraser, Hastings. What is your feeling?
He's a big chap. Fragile isn't exactly the word that springs to mind. I talked to his landlady before seeing him. She went to bed at 11. Fraser wasn't home yet.
Bien. Megan Barnard said he is a reserved character but with a nasty temper. We will see if this is the case. How do you do, Mr. Fraser?
You Hercule Poirot. Mr. Hastings said you wanted to speak to me.
Yes. I know that it may not be at the right time, but I would like to ask you a few questions.
I don't want this young man here. Be quick and do what you must.
Hastings looks ill at ease. He really doesn't like Fraser. Hastings is bound to tell me what he thinks about Fraser later on. Now is not the right time. This is a well-laid table. Nothing is out of place and, above all, no creases. This man looks suspicious. Donald Fraser is in a terrible state, as if he hadn't slept all night. And he's drinking White Horse.
Leave me alone. Tell me that it's a mistake, that Betty isn't dead.
Sadly, your lady friend has been murdered, Mr. Fraser.
Oh, Betty, if only you'd listened.
If she had listened to you, she would still be alive. Should I take that to be a confession?
With that sort of thinking, you must send a lot of innocent men to prison. Under different circumstances, I might even find you amusing, sir.
It's no time for amusement, Mr. Fraser. It is time to find your fiancé's killer. Did you know what her plans were for the evening?
She said she was having dinner with her sister.
Yet, Megan only returned to Bexhill this morning, Mr. Fraser.
I didn't know.
Right. May I ask you what you were doing yesterday evening?
I spent the evening working.
Your colleagues can confirm this?
No, I often take work home with me.
Therefore, you have no alibi, Mr. Fraser.
That's right. But that doesn't make me a murderer, Mr. Poirot. I would like you to leave now, please.
Ah, I knew I'd find you here, Poirot. I thought the victim's young man was here.
Yes, is all yours, Chief Inspector. Let us now try and get our brain cells to work.
Fraser doesn't have an alibi and he's extremely jealous.
You are very skilled at summing up.
And yet you haven't asked Japp to arrest him.
It is too soon. But I agree, without the letters announcing the crimes, Fraser would already be behind bars. Bon, I think we have enough elements. Let's reconstruct the events at the scene of the crime.
I can't imagine how the murderer wasn't seen, though. Surely she must have struggled.
Let us try and imagine the scene. The killer and the victim are walking on the beach. Miss Betty has a bag, a belt around her waist, and carries her shoes in her hand. Both of them walk slowly to hut number 5. Both of them walk slowly to hut number 6. Miss Betty enters the hut. She leaves without her belongings. Then she hides a coat. They keep walking. Then she removes her belt.
The murderer moves behind her and then attacks her by surprise. The body falls, lifeless, on the sand.
Everything appears to match the crime scene, mon cher Hastings. That is exactly what happened. Without the ABC, we might have suspected Mr. Asher and Mr. Fraser. But by timing his crimes, the murderer is making sure he's accused. In a way, it is very generous of him.
Generous? The murderer seduced Betty in order to lure her to the beach and kill her.
Indeed, the young woman was certainly careless, but not stupid enough to follow a stranger.
What are you planning to do, Poirot?
Return to London, mon cher Hastings. This is definitely where the photo I found in the hut was taken. Right, back to London. There is nothing more for us to do here.
Japp has decided to reveal details to the press. The alphabet murder is now famous.
It is not a bad idea. The more people who know, the greater our chances of finding out something of interest.
Poirot, I have a bad feeling. Poor Mr. Poirot, not so good at these little criminal matters as you thought yourself, are you? Rather past your prime, perhaps. Let us see if you can do any better this time. This time, it's an easy one. Churston on the 30th. Do try and do something about it. It's a bit dull having it all my own way, you know. Good hunting. Ever yours, ABC. Good hunting. Did you hear that, Poirot? The murderer seems to be taking it all as a game, a challenge. He will strike on 30th in Churston. We must warn Scotland Yard.
By the way, Hastings, what day is it?
Well, looking at the calendar, it's the 30th. No time to lose. We must prepare our suitcases for Churston.
Mon Dieu, it is already 10 o'clock. I will call Scotland Yard immediately. It is not a good time. Hello, chap. We received a new letter from ABC in the 10 o'clock post.
Where and when?
In Churston. Today.
Today? I'll inform the population immediately.
I'll check the train times. Call me back. It is not a good time. I do not need to make a telephone call at the moment. Daily Flicker, July 30, 1935. ABC affair, no progress. The alphabet murderer is still on the run. Ever since the police found the connection between the Bexhill and Andover affairs, the inquiry has barely progressed. In this issue, we are publishing provocative letters sent by the killer to Hercule Poirot. Unfortunately, they have not yet helped to find him. Daily Flicker, July the 26th, 1935. The Bexhill Horror. Young maid strangled on the beach. Killer struck at midnight. Hastings, what you are doing is an absolute disaster. That is no way to pack suitcases.
Heavens, we must hurry. We have to get to Churston before the murder.
You're right, Hastings. It is an emergency.
At last, Poirot, you're being reasonable. Poirot, you were right. I've just consulted the ABC guide. There's no hurry. The next train doesn't leave till 11:45.
You see, there is no need to hurry. We will not be in Churston until tomorrow morning. After the murder.
But why has the murderer warned us so late? It's not what he usually does. Did he do it on purpose?
Very good question, Hastings. We should also compare the letter we have just received with the other two. Although I have very little doubt about what we will find. We've missed the 6:45 train, but we have plenty of time to catch the night train. Hastings' photo album. He is very proud of his bag. It is not a good time. Hastings, it would appear that you are getting slightly thin on top.
Really? I hadn't noticed.
In his haste, Hastings tore the envelope. Pour Mr. Poirot. Right, let us compare this new letter with the second one. Let us examine this more closely. Certain characters in the two letters may have similar defects. Yes, the A appears to be quite unusual. That's right. The A characters in the two letters do indeed have the same defects. I have to find some other similar defects to confirm my theory. Yes, this I is weird. Yes, the I characters in the two letters do indeed have the same defects. I have to find some other similar defects to confirm my theory. The W is not printed properly. Of course, the W characters in the two letters do indeed have the same defects. My theory was right. These two letters were written with the same typewriter. Let us now try and get our brain cells to work. The letter should have arrived in time. The postmark shows that it was sent 3 days ago. However, our man made a mistake in the address, which explains the delay. All the same, the post office took their time correcting the error.
Come on, Poirot. Your address is not quite as well known as that of Scotland Yard. Poirot, the telephone. It must be Jap.
I have some news from Churchton. Bad news, I'm afraid. Sir Carmichael Clark was murdered while out on his evening walk.
Sir Carmichael Clark. The name is familiar to me.
He was a famous throat specialist, one of the best in London. A wealthy man, he retired to Combside, a beautiful house by the sea. He collected antiques.
Are you going there?
Yes, let's meet on the train. The victim is called Sir Carmichael Clark, one of the best throat specialists in London. The body was still warm when we found it. If we'd been warned earlier, we definitely could have saved him.
It appears that the murderer made a mistake when he wrote his letter.
A mistake? Lucky for him.
And what if he did it on purpose?
No. He's defined his madcap rules and he's sticking to them. It's a matter of pride for him. Shall we go up to the house, Poirot?
You go, my friends. I will come soon. An ABC guide. The murderer's customary signature, covered in blood this time. Sir Carmichael's throat was cut. It's a clean incision, a professional murder. The gravel on the path has been sprayed with blood that covers a conical-shaped area, which starts at the body and becomes wider as it moves further from the bush. The gravel on the path has been sprayed. Apart from the wound to the throat, the body is untouched. No cuts, no bruises. Jap has emptied the victim's pockets and has laid out their contents on this piece of wax cloth. A signet ring, very probably with the Clark family's coat of arms. Nothing appears to be missing from this wallet. An oriental dragon. It's an old piece, much older than the pocket watch on which it was fastened. It is pointless. This place is very calming. The site is exceptional. It is easy to imagine that Sir Carmichael used to enjoy stopping here every evening. The body is just in front of a bush, one of the only bushes in the surrounding area. The vegetation behind the bush has been trampled. Let us now try and get our brain cells to work. Sir Carmichael had his back to the bush when the killer cut the throat from behind. A fatal blow that sprayed blood over a range of more than 1 meter. Let us now try and get our brain cells to work.
Have you finished, Poirot?
Chief Inspector, many questions remain unanswered, but I am certain of one thing. The killer is a daring opportunist. He met Sir Carmichael at nightfall on this deserted path and took advantage of the situation.
Impossible. You forget the trampled grass behind the bush.
Ah, c'est vrai. It proved that he was waiting for his victim.
Quite right. He must have known Sir Carmichael's movements well to plan such an attack.
The murderer struck with terrible savagery.
Yes, blood flowed. It's the first time he's attacked a man. He armed himself accordingly.
Have you spoken to the victim's family, Chief Inspector?
I've spoken to the brother, Franklin Clark. I didn't get much out of him. He's yours. I must get the body removed.